You ever have that exact moment when your stomach drops because someone crossed a line you never thought they would? Well, mine happened at 5:30 in the morning when I realized my own father had been snooping through my phone, reading private texts between me and my boyfriend, and pretending like nothing happened. He thought I wouldn't find out, but what he didn't know was that I had the perfect way to teach him a lesson he would never forget. If you've ever had someone violate your privacy, underestimate you, or try to control your life, hit that like button, because today's story is exactly the kind of justice you've dreamed about serving. So here's how everything went downhill over one innocent night. My family and I were staying in a hotel suite during a short vacation, one of those 2-room setups that looks fancy in photos but feels way too cramped when everyone's tired and irritated. My mom and sister were sharing one bed, while my dad and I had the other room with 2 separate beds. By the time we got back that night, I was exhausted. You know that bone-deep tired where your eyelids burn and your head feels fuzzy? Yeah, I was texting my boyfriend, trying to stay awake because he'd been busy earlier, and I was waiting for him to reply. At some point, I just knocked out, phone in hand. No goodnight, no closure, nothing. The next thing I know, I'm waking up at 5:30 a.m. to 20 messages from him. The cute, soft kind he only sends when it's late and he thinks I'm still awake. He wasn't mad, just teasing me for leaving him unseen. But that wasn't the part that made my heart jump. See, my phone was plugged into the charger, something I did not do. And when I casually asked my dad later, he just shrugged and went, "Oh yeah, I saw your phone lying open." So I put it on charge. Open, unlocked, lit up with all my personal messages. He said it so casually, as if it was normal, as if he didn't think twice about snooping through a device that holds my entire life. At first I tried to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe he didn't actually read anything. Maybe he genuinely just put it to charge. But then I remembered one detail. My dad does not touch my things, ever. Not unless he has a reason. And suddenly my mind was racing, replaying all the possibilities. Did he see the messages? Did he read the flirty text? Did he scroll? Did he judge me? Is he pretending he didn't see anything because he's uncomfortable? Or because he feels guilty? For the next few hours I couldn't even read his face. He acted normal. Too normal. The kind of normal that feels artificial. Like he was forcing it. Trying not to reveal what he actually knew. And I hated the feeling. I hated being unsure. I hated being invaded. Because privacy isn't just a preference, it's safety. It's dignity. It's the one part of my life that is mine. So I decided, if he wanted to snoop, then fine. I'd make sure the next time he accidentally saw my phone, he'd wish he hadn't. For years, my dad has had this massive weakness. He cares way too much about what extended family thinks. His greatest fear in life? Being embarrassed. So I weaponized that. The next morning, while everyone was getting ready, I left my unlocked phone on the table, screen on, brightness up, with a message thread open. Not with my boyfriend, not with a friend, but with a carefully crafted fake chat. I typed out a message that said, "I can't believe he still thinks he can control who I talk to. He really thinks snooping won't have consequences." Then I made the friend reply, "You should just tell the family what he did." He'd die of embarrassment. Another one from me. If he wants to act like a detective, let him read this. And then I placed the phone face up, right where he'd see it while pretending not to look. It took 10 minutes. 10 minutes before he walked by, paused, did a double take, and froze. His face didn't move for a full 3 seconds. His eyes flicked from the screen to me, then back to the screen. He knew. He knew I knew. And he panicked. He didn't say a word, but the man turned stiff. Suddenly he was nicer, quieter, overly respectful, the kind of behavior he only shows when he knows he crossed a line and fears the consequences. He kept glancing my way like he was waiting for me to blow up, waiting for the humiliation he feared most. But I didn't confront him. That was the revenge, letting him sit in the uncertainty, letting him wonder how much I knew, letting him fear the embarrassment of the truth coming out. He spent the rest of the trip walking on eggshells. And honestly, watching him crumble under the weight of his own guilt was the most satisfying thing I've ever experienced. By the end of the vacation, he came to me quietly and muttered, "I shouldn't have touched your phone. It won't happen again. No excuses. No pretending. Just the truth." And that was all I needed. The moment he saw that fake conversation, that was it. His eyes widening, his breath catching, his pride cracking right in front of me. He realized snooping wasn't power. It was vulnerability. He'd crossed a boundary, and now I held the leverage. That fear of embarrassment? That was my justice. And he felt it. You know, sometimes revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it isn't explosive. Sometimes it's just letting someone sit with the consequences of their own actions and watching them understand that your privacy is not something They can violate without losing something in return. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Tell me in the comments, has anyone ever invaded your privacy? What did you do about it? And of course, subscribe for more emotionally charged revenge stories every week. Remember how my dad snooped through my phone and I got my revenge by letting him read a fake conversation? Well, revenge has consequences, even when it's justified. And what happened after that? Let's just say, my dad wasn't the only one who got exposed. Because the guilt that started in that hotel room didn't stop there. It grew, it spread, and it pulled every ugly truth in my family to the surface. If you believe that secrets always find their way into the light, whether we like it or not, hit that like button, subscribe and get ready. Because this sequel goes deeper than you expect. The vacation ended, but the tension didn't. If anything, the car ride home made everything worse. My dad was quieter. My mom kept looking between us confused. My sister had her headphones in, but even she sensed something was off. For the first few days back home, my dad avoided me completely. Not in the angry, I'm upset way, but in the guilty, I don't know how to act around you because I crossed a line way. He became overly polite. He knocked before entering rooms. He didn't ask about my phone. He didn't make comments about who I was texting. It would have been funny if it didn't feel so strange. Guilt has a way of eating at people, and with my dad, it turned into something darker. The shift. One night, I walked to the kitchen for water. The lights were off, except the glow of someone sitting at the dining table. It was him, sitting hunched forward, staring at nothing. When he heard my footsteps, he jolted like I was a stranger. "Are you okay?" I asked, thinking it was just stress. He took a moment, a long one. Then he said the last thing I expected. "Did I fail you as a father?" I froze. My chest tightened. This wasn't the self-righteous man who demanded respect. This was someone broken, scared. "Why would you think that?" I asked carefully. He swallowed hard and said, "Because children hide things when they don't trust their parents." That hit me. Not because he was right, but because he felt the truth of it. He wasn't asking out of anger. He was asking because the guilt was eating him alive. And then he said something that changed everything. I read more than I should have that night. My heart dropped. So he did see the messages. He read the sweet late-night texts. The vulnerable ones, the personal ones. He looked ashamed, like he was reliving the moment he knew he shouldn't have scrolled, but did anyway. "I'm sorry," he whispered. And for the first time ever, I saw my father apologize without ego, without excuses, without defensiveness. But this is where things spiraled. The unexpected consequence. My mom overheard us. The next morning, she confronted him, not gently, not calmly, but with years of bottled-up resentment. Because apparently, this wasn't the first time he'd violated someone's privacy. He'd gone through my sister's laptop 2 years ago. He'd checked my mom's call log once. He'd peeked into messages he had no right to see. But he always had an excuse, always had a justification. Until this time his guilt gave him away. My mom exploded. "Do you realize how much you damaged the very people you claim to protect? How many boundaries have you crossed? How much trust have you destroyed without even noticing?" It became a full-blown fight. Voices rising, accusations flying, my sister crying, my dad silent, unable to defend himself because deep down, he knew he had no defense. And me? I sat there realizing something terrifying. My revenge didn't just expose him. It exposed everything. All the unspoken problems, all the hidden discomfort, all the quiet violations we'd all ignored. My small revenge cracked the entire foundation. By evening, he packed a small bag and left the house to clear his mind. We didn't hear from him for 2 days. The breaking point. On the third night, he returned. Not angry. Not defensive. Just tired. He sat all of us down and said he wanted to be better. "But I don't know how," he admitted. "I've never been taught boundaries, so I never learned to respect them." It was heartbreaking, because it was honest. He wasn't a villain. He was a man broken by his own habits, his own upbringing, his own fears. And for the first time I realized, my revenge didn't ruin him. It saved him. It forced him to face the truth he would have ignored forever. It forced our family to communicate. It forced healing, something we desperately needed but never dared to initiate. The resolution. We set rules, real ones. Privacy was no longer negotiable. Devices were off limits. Personal space was respected. And my dad, he stuck to it. He started knocking. He stopped asking invasive questions. He even apologized to my sister properly, something she'd been waiting years for. The lesson had landed deeper than I expected. But here's the part that surprised me the most. A week later, he came up to me and said, "Thank you, not for the message you left, but for making me see what I couldn't see myself." For the first time, I hugged him without hesitation. Because sometimes revenge isn't about hurting someone. Sometimes it's about creating the moment that forces change. My dad learned the hard way that snooping comes with consequences. Not punishment, not humiliation, but accountability. He realized trust isn't a right. It's a privilege. And once broken, it's hard to rebuild. But he rebuilt it, piece by piece, day by day, with genuine effort, and that needed more than any revenge and was the real victory. Privacy isn't a luxury. It's dignity. And sometimes the only way people learn to respect it is when they feel what it's like to lose your trust. If this sequel gave you chills, hit that like button and subscribe for more emotionally intense revenge stories every week. And tell me in the comments, has someone ever broken your trust? And did they ever earn it back? I thought everything was finally getting better. After my revenge, after the guilt, after the fights, my dad apologized and our family began healing. But healing is never a straight line, because the truth is, my dad wasn't done hiding things. And in part 3, final chapter, I discovered the real reason he snooped through my phone that night. And trust me, it changed everything. After that night of apology and tears, things did get better. My dad was more respectful. My mom was calmer. My sister wasn't scared of letting her phone lie around. For the first time in years, our home felt peaceful. But peace can be deceptive, and sometimes the silence hides the biggest secrets. The first sign. About a week after everything settled, I woke up at 3 a.m. because I heard not voices, not arguments, but my dad quietly crying in the living room. I'd never heard him cry. Not once. Not in my entire life. He was sitting on the floor, head in his hands, shoulders shaking. I froze in the hallway. Why was he crying? Was it guilt? Was it family stress? Was it shame? Then I noticed something. He wasn't just crying. He was clutching a piece of paper. A letter. When he saw me, he quickly wiped his face. "I'm fine," he said. But he wasn't. His eyes were red. His hands were trembling. His voice was broken. And that's when I knew something bigger was going on. The truth begins to unravel. The next day, I found the same letter on the dining table, folded neatly, with my name on it. My heartbeat went wild. I opened it slowly. Inside were just a few words. "I never meant to hurt you. I'm just scared you'll make the same mistakes I did." There was no explanation, no details, just fear, regret, and a hint that there was something about his past we didn't know. So I asked my mom. She hesitated, and then everything spilled out. The secret he hid, back when my dad was young, before marriage, before kids. He had been in a relationship, a serious one, with someone he truly loved, but he was insecure, controlling, suspicious. He snooped through her letters, checked her phone, went through her bag. He called it protection. She called it suffocating. One day she confronted him. He denied everything, lied, pretended he was innocent, until the day she caught him red-handed going through her messages. And she left him, not quietly, not gently. She left with the same words he wrote in the letter to me. "You don't trust people. You control them, and that destroys everything." My dad's biggest fear wasn't embarrassment. It wasn't losing authority. It wasn't being wrong. His biggest fear was losing his family the same way he'd lost the first person he ever loved. And that's why he snooped, not because he was suspicious, not because he wanted control, but because he was terrified history would repeat itself. He wasn't protecting me from the world. He was protecting himself from his past. And that guilt, that brokenness, that trauma was what exploded during our vacation, the final confrontation. That night, I knocked on his door. He looked up, eyes tired but softer than I'd ever seen them. "You read it?" he asked. I nodded. "Why didn't you tell us?" I whispered. He sighed. "Because mistakes, they follow you. And some mistakes, you spend your whole life paying for." He paused, voice cracking. "I snooped because I was scared of losing you. But by doing it, I almost created the very thing I feared most." The room went silent. And then for the first time ever, I held his hand, not as a child obeying a parent, not as someone angry or hurt, but as a human being who finally understood him. The ending. Over the next weeks, something changed. My dad didn't just respect boundaries. He learned why boundaries mattered. He didn't just stop snooping. He started trusting. He didn't just say sorry. He healed. Our family didn't just recover. We reconnected. And ironically, what started as revenge, what started as anger, ended in understanding. Sometimes the ending of a story isn't justice or payback. Sometimes it's forgiveness, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Privacy can be invaded, trust can be broken, but sometimes the deepest wounds people cause come from wounds they're already carrying. And once you understand that, the world feels less frightening and a lot more human. If this final chapter moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you found that letter? More dark, emotional stories coming soon, only on Revenge Time. Bye.